many times I've said that, you know. I've said it a lot, but yet I still get people call me, ask me the same thing. Can I do this? Can I do that? What you think about this controller? What you think about that controller? What kind of battery you got? Exactly. Don't matter about none of those things. You need a battery first and foremost. come I can jump on the highway with my RZ with a little bit of power, probably about 15,000 watts, amps, and field weakening, and again amps, from a legitimate powerful crisscrossing wire battery. Not no chai battery, not no powerful lithium, not none of them from my own packs. Actually, the pack that's running this bike is the very first pack I ever made. To be honest, my very first pack with the Lashin cells. They 45 amp cells, but yeah, this was my first prototype pack. Display about to die. Bike's gonna be alright though. It's gonna hold the settings that was in it. The controller is still on. But yeah, since our little display is dying, we got 5% left. It didn't save any of the settings, and look at that. That ASI ain't even hot. Look at my temperature, 99 degrees Fahrenheit. Now yes, I do have a heat sink on it, as you should have a heat sink on a BAC 8000 or even a 4000. I don't know why guys are running those controllers with no heat sink, because you know how they come with that flat aluminum surface. That is just bare bones, no heat sink. And wow, still at 80 volts, even though I think we were at 82 volts, and we did a little 10-mile, almost a 10-mile ride. That little 10-mile loop, kind of a high-speed loop, but I guarantee you that was only about 15,000 watts. Yeah, like I said, 15,000 watts is what we running right now. You seen it? Seeing how much power was running back there. Now, no, I didn't have it all the way maxed out. I have it set to 17 right now. But you know, that's just how well this controller performs, and that battery. right, that's it for today. But I said what I said. Deuces. What it do, E-World? Crisscrossing Wires, back with another video. And once again, we're gonna dive on a topic that one of my normals, but one of the most important, as I always make it, and one that most people, even though they say they listen, actually don't. And that is that the most important component on any PEV is its battery. I don't know how many times I said it. I don't know how many times I continue to say. Your bike, scooter, e-motorcycle, whatever, is only as good as the battery that you have in it. You have to realize and understand the battery is the heart of your PEV. Doesn't matter what kind of controller you have, what kind of motor you have. All that means nothing if the heart of your PEV cannot power and sustain it. And that is where people tend to cheap out on the batteries. So the most important spec of your battery needs to be its discharge rate. A lot of people, when they go battery shopping, all they think about is the battery voltage, and they want a high capacity because they're talking about they want long range. But you have to understand that all batteries are not equal despite its capacity. You can have 3 72 volt 40 amp hour packs, all have the same capacity, but what can be different and matters the most is its discharge rate. Now, more importantly, not only the cells determine its discharge rate, but the actual pack construction determines its discharge rate. Now, I made a little short video the other day saying that there's no way I can compete with the prices of the packs that are coming out of China. They get cells, or even make cells, for the lowest cost possible, and they are also mass producing packs. Okay, now understand, when you mass produce packs, you're trying to build them for, well, most of those places are trying to build them at the lowest possible cost and build them as fast as possible, because those CEOs, time is money. Now, I used to have a debate all the time whether or not welding versus soldering, and which was better. Most people have this false belief that because most battery manufacturers weld batteries, that's the best method. It's not the best, it's the most productive. You can have robots weld batteries on an assembly line. You can also have unskilled humans weld. Doesn't take a whole lot of skills to weld as long as you have a good welder. What it does require skill to do is solder. Now, the debate used to be soldering versus welding, and I used to say all the time, soldering is always going to be a better connection than a weld. these batteries have bus bars, and the bus bars actually lay across the battery terminals, and the batteries themselves, and whatever the bus bars are made of, whether it be nickel, stainless steel, copper, any of those metals can conduct electricity, as long as they're touching each other, they can conduct the electricity. So all welding does is put little tack welds and keep those metals in place so they can conduct electricity. However, welding over time will degrade. You know, those materials, even copper, which is the best conductor, can oxidize and corrode. So if you have batteries that are welded, water ingress and just air can cause oxidation and corrosion, and over time those metals that are just touching each other will corrode and cause high resistance and no longer conduct electricity the way they did when they were brand new. So to that fact, batteries which are in these bikes, scooters, skateboards, etc., from vibration will suffer to fail, you know, because of bad connections, high resistance, and all that affects your battery performance. Now, I'm not going to go deep into that, but I've said enough. So that, along with the cells themselves, all cells have a discharge rate. Cheaper cells have lower discharge rates. So while you can have two cells with the same capacity, one cell can discharge more current, meaning have more output power. So like I said, same capacity, but one cell can only discharge 5 amps while the other cell can discharge 45 amps. So the pack built with 45 amp cells is going to have a much higher discharge rate. The discharge rate affects your overall power. You know, you can't make power unless you have a high discharge rate. Now, if you have a pack made with cells with low discharge rates and a pack that is built for minimum conductivity and current flow, you're going to have a lot of voltage sag. So although it's a 72 volt battery, when you throttle down, if your voltage is sagging from 84 volts down to 71 volts, that is the voltage that your motor is seeing, 71 volts at whatever those amps are. So if you have a pack that can sustain its voltage and hold its voltage while they're throttled down, their motor is seeing 81, 82, 83, 84 volts, a higher voltage. Therefore, they're going to see a higher RPM. They're going to go faster. They're going to have more power, more acceleration. They're also going to have the benefit of field weakening. Told you before, field weakening requires its own amps. So while you only have a battery pack that you've bought from one of those Chinese manufacturers with 150 amp BMS, and you have a Saviton 72150, and you have that turned all the way up, you're consuming the entire 150 amps, while your field weakening needs, you may have that turned up to 50 amps. That's going to need an additional 50 amps, so that's 200 amps altogether. So why can I reach the speeds that I'm reaching? Because I have a pack that can output over 450 DC line amps. Therefore, I can supply 250, 300 amps to my controller and another 100 amps worth of field weakening. There's no way a bike with 100 amps and no field weakening is going to be able to reach the same speeds or accelerate as fast as I do. So bottom line is you have to make an investment in your battery. You know, that should be your biggest and most important investment. You know, rather than buying a motor or controller, believe me, whatever motor and controller that comes on your bike is going to perform better just with a better battery. So before you decide to buy that motor or controller, first buy a battery, and you're going to get better performance immediately. Then when you decide to upgrade, you already have a battery that is capable of the upgrade. So make sure when you buy your battery, buy a battery with a high enough discharge rate and a capacity that is future proof. Trust me, you're going to always get used to the speeds that you're reaching and going to want to go faster. Even people that claim that they build their PEVs because they just need basic transportation. Well, I only need to get to school or to work or to get to the store. Yeah, but eventually those guys even want to go faster. So while once upon a time they said all they need is this amount of power and this speed, they're the ones that always want to go faster. It's always the guys that spent the less that want to do the most. Unfortunately, when it comes to this stuff, it doesn't work like that. When it comes to performance, quality matters. So it is what it is. Also, when it comes to performance, unfortunately, safety measures and performance don't always align. Guys who race cars, race motorcycles, do any type of competitive racing, they throw all those safety options out the window. Be it BMSs, breakers, fuses, any of those safety measures are going to come with a hit at performance. You know, all those things cause bottlenecks. Bottlenecks cause voltage sag. Voltage sag affects performance. So while you're trying to be safe, don't expect to be safe and go fast. Like I said, unfortunately, the two don't mix like two dicks. Find yourself in serious shit, just like Biggie said. So, you know, you got to choose one or the other. Now, it's funny to me how those guys that are always crying about safety want to go fast, because going fast in itself is not safe. If you want to go 70, 90 miles an hour, you're already throwing safety out the window. So you might as well go all the way. You know what I mean? No need in getting a battery that can output 450 amps if you want to have a safety measure like a circuit breaker that's a 150 amp breaker. Here you spent big money on a huge battery, but you're going to put it in line with a 150 amp circuit breaker or BMS or anything that causes high resistance and you know, affects performance. So make a decision, decide what it is you want to do. But if you want to go fast, you want to race, you want to be competitive, you're going to have to forget about some of that stuff. Or figure out other ways to still be safe. And it's doable. You just have to know your limitations. And you have to be the BMS. You have to be the battery monitoring system and the battery management system. If you can do that, then you don't need a piece of equipment to do that for you. Tell people all the time, I'm the battery management system and the battery monitoring system. The biggest thing you need to do is monitor battery temps, voltage, and amps, and you won't have no problems. Alright, we're going to take a little ride, and it's a nice day. Oh man, my display is going to die soon, so we better hurry up and take that ride.